All right, guys, we got Jeremy and his Ranger Raptor over here. Yesterday, we ended up doing S&B intake and the Fenfab intercooler. Today, we're actually doing downpipes. And I'm making this video, and I should have made videos on the other two things, because I realized there's no how-to videos on installing parts. And most of these companies don't send any instructions. Anyway, let's get to the star of the show, these Fenfab downpipes. You got like a weird, it's not a V-band, this is like kind of like a slit fit, kind of weird, I forget the name of these couplers, you know? I forget. Really odd thing. I'm surprised they didn't just V-band it, but. And that's similar to like what they have on the F-150s actually. And then the other side is just a 2-bolt flange, similar to like the top turbos. He did drive over here. These downpipes hold in heat. And the other ones, it's gonna be the same thing. They're kind of on top of the trans area. Now, you do got a lot more room in this engine bay in general compared to like the Explorers, like what we have out there. But we're gonna get right into it. All right, guys, so here we are underneath the driver's side. You'll have this weird, again, this little V-bandish clamp. It's a 16 millimeter. I just have my hand rested in there. And if you look way up there, you'll be able to see that stud peeking at us, which is why I have this. Uh-oh, sorry guys, one-handed here. So right here, I got my little swivel to 15 on it. We're gonna get that one, and then the other one should be kind of just catty corner to that other one. Kind of going blind, but we'll be able to find it here in a second. I'll probably move the wheel well carpet and peek up in there. And we're just gonna drop this out. All right, so peeking up there, I got it loose. Wasn't too bad. I put it right in front of this sensor here, so I'm just gonna reach up in my magnet and try to get that. Okay, I got it right there. There she is, there's one. All right, guys, so if we look way up that way, you'll actually, oh, if I can get it focused, focus, you'll see it right there in the corner. I'll put a little arrow on it. Bam, right there. And I'm literally looking up, so here's the tire. I'm looking up right past that way. I got 20 inches of extension. I think I'm gonna need a little bit of a longer one though, and we're gonna try to get it on. So we're finally able to use these little line clips, and I spread that one thing apart. I was able to get the downpipe loose. However, the O2 sensors were still plugged in, and they are plugged in right behind the motor back here. All right, I'm gonna turn on my light so y'all can see what I'm talking about. If we go to the back, you can see there's this bracket right over the back of the transmission, and you'll see that this wire, reach my hand, uh-oh. There you go. Sorry, I stopped recording. Has this little red clip. So I used this pick to undo the little red clip, and I just reached my fat hand down in there and undid it. Now, I'm looking over in this area. You want to make sure the wiring doesn't get caught up on anything. So I'm going to try to just toss it down beside the cat. And we're going to get down there and try to snake this big motherfucker out. All right, guys, so we're going to reach back here. This is for the passenger side since I'm already up here. You'll see right there, gray clip and the blue one, that is primary and secondary O2 sensor. So we're just gonna go ahead and unplug those while we're already up here. And I'm going to try to put it on video, me undoing that little, there it goes. All right, so let's reach in here. And boom, you see that little red clip pokes out. And I'm gonna try to just reach up in here and try to pull it up off of that. And we're gonna try to separate these. I might need both hands for this. Yeah, I'm gonna need both hands for this. So, oh, there it goes. That one, that's, try to unplug this one as well back here. So we got them both unplugged from this side as well. So O2s are unplugged. Underneath the driver's side again, we got it loose and we got it off. And there's one of our O2 sensors here. And you can see that the O2 sensor is kind of stopping it from coming out. I might be able to twist it and get it out to come out one weird way, but you know, we're all the way back up in here. And so I'm gonna undo that O2 sensor, and I think by undoing that O2 sensor, it'll let this thing just kind of slip out from right here. So we're gonna give that a whirl. These are typically 22 millimeters. So if you've got a 22 wrench, that's typically what these O2 bongs are. They do make specialty sockets. However, getting a socket and stuff up in here isn't gonna happen, so we're gonna use a 22 wrench. All right, guys, here it is. I did have to remove both O2 sensors, and once I did, it actually just slipped right out. Getting this one in is probably gonna be much, much easier. As you can tell, it doesn't have this goofy ass bump on it. Looks weird and pregnant. All right, guys, so on the driver's side, I had one of the bolts come off, or the nuts come off with the whole stud. It's common, it happens. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna separate this stud and this nut. Now you'll see on the top, if I can get it to focus on this. There you go, it has like a T fitting. It's not really a T10 or an E10. It's a little big, and the E8's a little small, so I'm gonna try to find something that holds that as I loosen this. So I'm gonna put a little WD-40 on this, or a PB Blaster, and we're gonna separate it because I wanna put the stud back on. That way when I stab the downpipe, it's easier. Because trying to like line up the gasket with this can be a real pain. All right, guys, so right up here, I just reached in, pulled it off by my fingers. No wrench, no, I'm just kidding. But right there was that stud. You can't see the other stud. I'm gonna try to get the other stud from underneath because I just think it's gonna be easier. Especially with all this other stuff in the way. But I already got the 2 bolts down there taken off. And so we're just gonna try to get that other one off and see what happens. All right, guys, so right here, you look up. I can't see it, but I definitely stabbed it. And this is about 20 inches of extension, 2 10 inches, a swivel, and a 15, and we're gonna zap it off. All right, guys, so we got this other one out with both O2 sensors on. Just slipped right out. You got a lot more room because you don't have the drive shaft there. So Fenfab does include these gaskets. You are gonna have to use them because they kind of have like a donut seal here, and these are kind of straight on, so this is gonna help it seal up. You're gonna have to use these gaskets. If you don't, you're definitely gonna have a leak. Not that it's important, but for shits and giggles, we're gonna weigh them. Let's say just over 13 pounds, I'd say. Right around 13 pounds. We'll just say that. Let's see what this one weighs. So, yeah, about 7 pounds. So overall, you're saving about, what is that, 7? I'm bad at math. 6 pounds? 6 pounds lighter, plus a lot less restrictive looking. This one isn't as bad as the other side was, but still, yeah. All right, guys, so we got the studs out. We put the nuts on them flush, and then we were able to hammer them out with a dead blow sledgehammer while he held it for me. And we were able to get the hardware out, and we're just going to attempt to reuse hardware here. However, it doesn't push in. It might not be long enough. So I think we're gonna have to go get new hardware. All right, guys, so looking up on the passenger side, we put our gasket on, and we're gonna take our downpipe and we're gonna stab it up in there. So let's see if I can do this one-handed to show y'all. Hang on, it might get a little crazy for a second. All right, let's see if we can just snake that bad boy up in there. And stab it. Oh, okay, I got one side stabbed, I gotta twist it a little bit. There we go. Both sides are on. Now in order for me to actually bolt it up, I'm gonna reach up in there, get rid of the camera, and start the nuts on them. All right, guys, so we try to use
The OEM studs just wasn't happening. I already contacted Brett from Fenfab. He is supposed to be supplying bolts, hopefully. If not, you'll just have to get 2 bolts from the hardware store. The nuts you can reuse. So the problem we're running into is it doesn't slip all the way into the Fenfab for the splines to work. So I flipped it around. And it's too loose in the OEM one to work. So it just spins. So we need to get a bolt that we could actually put some like a wrench on to be able to tighten it up and suck it up together. All right, guys, and one thing is we got to get that donut out of there. I do believe if we just reach up in here with a flathead and kind of pry it at this little angle, it should pop out. I'm probably gonna need both hands though. I'll figure it out. We got to get these out though. All right, guys, we got the donut flange off of there. I put the other stud on, and that's how it should look with the gasket. All right, guys, hardware's in. We got the donut gasket off, and that one all the way on there. O2s are plugged in. Now we're gonna move her to the driver's side and fish this in the same way we fished the other one out. So with the back side, we did transfer this part of the gasket over to this one, and the other little locking mechanism is just kind of loosely around this one. So hopefully we don't have no issues with that and we can get all this. All right, guys, there we go. I put the downpipe back up in there. O2s are on. Now we're going to stab it onto the 2 studs and tighten everything up. All right, guys, finally got it on up there. Now I'm going to go to the top, plug in these 2 O2 sensors on this side, and we'll fire her up, see how she sounds with these Fenfab downpipes. Pretty excited to see how it's going to sound. All right, guys, so we finally got it all together. You are supposed to swap the secondary O2s back and forth. And I think let me close up your tailgate real quick. Oh, that thing's stupid light. Wow, I like it. All right, factory exhaust, just Fenfab downpipes. All right, guys, this is valves closed, Fenfab downpipes and OEM exhaust. All right, give her a couple of revs. This is valves closed. All right, open those valves up. Oh yeah, tone instantly changed. Ooh, listen to that gurgle. You get a little bit of turbo whistle. All right, guys, hope that video was helpful. Again, I didn't find a single like how to install downpipes on Ranger Raptor. I'm hoping that was enough proof for y'all and helps out. A little bit of a weird gasket thing. You take off those donut gaskets, you put the ones that Fenfab supplies with it, and you're good to go. Now we're gonna hit the dyno again. We made what, 390 horsepower and 497 or 98 foot-pound torque, almost 500 foot-pound torque yesterday, bone stock. We did intercooler, SMD intake, and Fenfab downpipes. Let's see if we can get into the 400s. Should be really easy today, especially with the intercooler helping out us from getting heat soaked. And intake and downpipe should only add power. And hey, are we putting on E50 today? Maybe? We might put it on E50. We'll see. If we hit E50, we're going to shoot for 5. Anyway, love you guys. Later. Frank. Hey!